Hey Heifers, and welcome to Angus IT, the podcast all about anxiety, depression, and ring, ring, ring. There's the phone. You gotta talk on it sometimes, and that's pretty disgusting. Ew, talking to people on the phone that you don't know, doing complicated things on your cellular device. Like, you guys are just lucky that caller ID is a thing, because when I was a wee child, it wasn't. You just didn't know who was fucking calling you. You just had to pick up that phone, and then, you know, you're in an awkward situation where, oh God, it's Gerald, and he won't leave you alone. You don't want to go to his third birthday party or his third grade. A 3-year-old keeps calling. Run away, Elaine. Yeah, today we're going to talk about phone call anxiety. I am not going to have anything scientific here to say. This is purely like my own experience. So let me just make a lot of speculation without really anything to back it up. We love to see it. We love to hear it. Texting has really helped alleviate a lot of phone calls in the way that I think it's like this could have been an email instead of a meeting kind of vibe. I mean, sometimes though, it's better to have the meeting than an email, like a complicated email chain. And so, you know, you'll have texts like that. And I don't know. I know a lot of people like hate doing phone calls in general. I don't know if they hate doing it with their friends or not. I think it just depends on your like personal group, I guess. Because I have a friend who will just like randomly call me up when she's going for a walk, or I have another friend who will, we'll set up call times, I guess. So maybe it's having it in your schedule. Maybe that's the thing. But regardless, I don't find phone calls with friends to be agonizing. I don't think most of us, do that. And again, texting can help us have the time to form what we're going to say, because we're not going to instantly sound stupid. Like, for example, if this show was live and not edited, wow, would your opinion somehow change, most likely, of me and the ability for me to word mouth into a electrical device? Yep, and that's the edited version, guys, what you get. Consider that for a moment. The beautiful show I produce for you on a mostly weekly basis is edited. Like, I try to put it together. Bask in the glory of this moment. Anyway, I'm imagining that when a lot of people talk about phone call anxiety, it's about the grown-up phone calls, like calling a doctor's office to make an appointment, calling a pizza place to put an order in, like doing food orders on the phone still get me. And I know a lot of people they get very stressed about doing phone call orders as well. You are not alone. A lot of stuff like that. Like, I don't want to throw hate on the younger generations, because I think there is a lot of blanket judgment that just kids these days don't communicate with each other. I have a feeling y'all still like call. If anything, you're FaceTiming at least. Now, like, whatever, texting is like a whole other issue, and we're not talking about that. I just think that in general, it's just disgusting to have to do a lot of the phone calls we don't want to do. And back in the day, you had to do it. And so if you do something enough, you get used to it. It's a muscle memory. You might not ever like it, but at least you can move through it. Okay, we don't have to do that anymore, really. So when we have to make that call, it's like, ew, this is my like once a year grossness doing it. The idea of the fear of phone calling came to me because I'm currently having to have so many phone calls with strangers and systems that I don't like. No offense to them. It's not that I don't like them. I don't like the new system and the new processes, and I don't really know what's going on. It's just been a lot. Like, doctors and insurance, like, it's all gross. And I am at like the end of my rope, y'all. When I go to the chiropractor, my friend works there, and every single time she's like, "How you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm hanging in there." She's like, "By a thread." And I'm like, "Yep." She's like, "Dental floss." And I'm like, "Yeah." So hanging in there by dental floss, guys. And a lot of my other anxieties that I usually can, manage are springing up because I am so thinly spread. My margarine for handling things is so thin across the anxiety baguette that it's still just rough, raw bread of anxiety. It's not covered by a delicious, lardy, fatty substance. So I don't actually remember where I was going with that. Anyway, so one of those things is phone calls to all these things, which I already don't like, but I'm so jittery about everything else that I'm just trying to hone in on at least one compartment of my mental health so far. I'm not doing great at any of it. I'll be honest. I mean, I didn't have an episode for last week. I'm just like, we're going through waves, guys. And right now we're in a down wave. I'm on the surfboard. The wave is behind me. I don't know how to surf. But damn, do I look good in this tankini? You know what I'm saying? No, I don't know. Why I said most phone interviews I've ever done for jobs, I had like a Word doc pulled up or a notebook, and I had written the bullet points for my answers because, interviews usually have the same kind of questions. So I already had them answered, and it was kind of like if I glitch and I can't speak, here it is, Elaine, and scene. And that helped me a lot because interviews are really fucking anxiety ridden. I don't know what happened there. I think I am glitching. Maybe it's just because I'm hungover. Psh, what? It doesn't matter. It's fine. So oh guys, I'm doing my best. The script is so great, and you can do this for any kind of phone call. I think one of our biggest fears, or at least mine is that we're going to freeze and we're not going to say the right things, or we're going to be thrown a curveball and we're not going to know how to react, and we might react poorly because it's over the phone. You can't even see my facial expressions. I can't figure out your facial expression. I'm having to hope that I can pick up on your tone through the phone, which is still like garbled voices. It's not pretty. And so that's very unsettling for us, for anybody who does normally rely on those kind of social cues. You're just being like, voice out of a box. Let's hope I respond well. But you can have the ultimate list before you. And before we get into a lot of this, I just want to say that you should not be ashamed of your coping mechanisms. They need to be healthy coping mechanisms, okay? Just throwing that out there. So this isn't like a freebie to go and get, a bottle of wine and then not pay attention. Drink the whole bottle of wine, realize it way too late, be a little shocked by it, and then proceed to watch Breaking Dawn Part 2 for no reason. You haven't watched the other ones in order, just Breaking Dawn Part 2. Only get halfway through before you realize this movie actually sucks. And then, I don't know where that exposition came from. That's so weird. What a fun little story. I'm so good at fiction writing. Anyway, what I was trying to say is that I sometimes guilt myself or put myself down because I do things like writing up a whole script. Isn't it annoying that other people can just call and it's fine? Whereas I used to have to write out a whole document, like a manual essentially for a conversation over the phone. And I want to speak to you and tell you to remove that shame because we all do things differently. Some people have bidets, and other people just have toilet paper. It's, different strokes for different folks. I'm so sorry, guys. Oh, man. Try that again, guy. Okay. I got this. I'm ready. I'm ready for this one. Just because you have to do something doesn't mean it's embarrassing. It shouldn't embarrass you. And I know that's like way easier said than done, but I want to try to help remove the shame because you know what? You got to the same endpoint regardless. I even think about like school. And people who had to study really hard in other subjects, other people who kind of, they're just one of those people that didn't need to study and they got through it. And there might have been some stress about like, why do I have to work so hard to get this grade and they don't? But you know what? You got there at the same finish line. So I wouldn't hyper focus on that because you're just going to make yourself angry and frustrated on top of the anxiety you're probably already feeling. That's at least been my experience. So just try to be okay with it. And this is definitely one of those moments where I am looking in the mirror and talking to myself, Elaine, look, we're going through a time right now, okay? And you just need to let go of the fact that you're a broken glass Christmas ornament right now, and you're allowed to be fragile, and you're allowed to need to do all of your extra little coping mechanisms that, are a little annoying, a little time consuming, but hey, do it, please. I'm so anxious. Thank you. I hope you guys didn't listen to that because that was a really personal conversation between me and myself. Yeah, just a reminder, edited. This podcast is edited, and this is what I decided to let you hear. I love that this episode has a B plot right now, like A plot, phone call anxiety, B plot, Elaine's unraveling. It's more times than not, if you're calling a customer service place, they literally have scripts. So if you're worried about sounding jilted in your words, I guarantee they don't really care. Most likely, if you just treat them like a decent human being, that's your baseline, which is a little sad that that has to be said, but customer service people are not the ones ruining your life. It's the managers that do it. And I totally respect losing your cool, but let's just remember that they're humans. Sometimes they're robots though, which is now a weird thing. Is it bad to be rude to a robot? It's a question for the future. Elon Musk, you let us know, I guess. It's just not weird. A lot of people do this, and it's helped me a lot. And once you get used to the scripts, they kind of download in your mind. And then when you get to call the pizza place again, you already know the vibe, you know what's going on. You kind of learn that places have templates. What I've learned from traveling is that all big cities kind of follow the same structures. There is the transportation system. There's one that is always unreliable, that never follows the time. There is always coffee shops and bars. All cities have these things. All cities have, and they're all different, but you kind of get a vibe, a structure for, if I now go to another big city, I understand kind of what I'm looking for. It's going to be transportation, might be a little cramped. There are going to be a lot of noises. You know what I mean? You just kind of get used to it. You go to a Cracker Barrel, you've seen it all. You go to another Cracker Barrel, okay, they're just a restaurant facing to the left versus the one where you enter the dining room on the right, and it feels really weird when it's not there. You're not just working on getting through that phone call, you're actually training yourself to get through other phone calls. I also think that it's okay to let a number go to voicemail if you are very, very anxious, because that way you can prepare. You'll hear the voicemail. I also pause. I think voicemails are underrated. People apparently are ew, you left me when I didn't even listen to it. Why? It takes you 30 seconds. People don't tend to leave long voicemails and then you know exactly what happened. I actually find if people don't leave a voicemail, it probably wasn't important and I don't care and I'll probably never get back to you because you called me and didn't leave a voicemail. I'm sorry, I was busy. Actually, Fern sits on my phone a lot, which is kind of weird, and I lose it a lot. And I feel like people think I'm lying when I tell them I'm sorry I didn't see your text. My dog's ass was smothering my phone and I couldn't find it, but that is the truth. I'm having an out-of-body experience for this episode. I'm what is your life? What are you doing? The next thing is make sure you're in an environment where you feel safe and comfortable to do your phone calls. I usually, for a lot of this insurance stuff, I've been going to my bedroom, I've been sitting on my bed, and I put on my favorite sweatshirt and then I hide under a blanket, essentially. And that's just where I'm happiest to do that. And no shame in the game. It's a phone call. They don't know what I look like. We don't care. Unless you're the lady calling Jake from State Farm. It's just fine. It's normal. I understand not wanting to do a call like that in front of people, because then it's you have an audience and you're back into that performing vibe instead of talking vibe. So yeah, that's why, a lot of people leave to go take a phone call, obviously, but sometimes it just needs to be said, like really get in the mood, like get in the mood for your call to your insurance company, light a candle, say a little prayer. I don't know, do whatever you need to. No shame in the game, as I keep saying. I also like to come up with contingency plans, ultimate escape options. I do this when I go to parties or something and I don't know people. I'm like, okay, when in doubt, A, hang out with the dog. B, surround myself with a bigger group of people where I don't really have to engage in the conversation, but I can nod along and laugh. And then that will be kind of a great way to slowly incorporate myself into there, or at least make it look like I am socializing, because I am, those kind of things. So the contingency plan for phone calls for me is when in doubt, oh no, something came up. Can I call you back? And then you can end it and take a breather. There's the option where you can always just hang up, which is abrupt. And I might not always recommend it or really ever, but just know in the back of your mind, hey, I can hang up at any point and we can pretend this never happened. Things happen. So just having those little thoughts in the back of your mind can help you be like, okay, I'm not trapped here. I have a plan if things start to go south. For me, I've been fortunate that my phone call anxiety has gotten a lot better. And I think a lot of that has just also been gaining the confidence to ask questions. I used to never want to ask questions. I was afraid I would sound stupid, or I would just get further into what I believed was my stupidity for not knowing how this system worked or what happened, or, all of those other stupid mind thought spirals. I just never asked questions and I would just panic because I didn't know the answer. Now I'm actively calling people with my questions that may be stupid, and I'm glad I did it. We're good. Still not the most serene I've been in my life, but just goes to show that, you can pick up on it, and that's okay. But my contingency plans are still there. So again, when in doubt, oops, just totally hang up the phone. I haven't done that except for one time with Apple customer care service, and they have the best customer service. I just so completely said the wrong thing and felt so dumb and panicky that I was like, oh yeah, let me go check what it was. And then I just slowly, no joke, slowly slid my thumb across the screen to end the call. Another one I have is I just realized what's the worst that could happen? And the worst that can happen most times is that they don't know the answer, or maybe they're condescending, in which case I probably never need to interact with them again. Or, you know what I mean? If I get a really condescending person when I try to make a doctor's appointment, I'm not going to want to go back there, and that's my choice. So, I can do that. I cannot go back to those establishments. And I think truly understanding that you did nothing wrong, that's just their reaction. And again, I think a lot of this real life stems into these phone calls, because if you think that you are a doormat and people treat you like a doormat, you're going to be a doormat. But sometimes that's our narrative and it's not true. So you might think oh, I'm this idiot annoying everybody, but it's probably not true. So just again, remind yourself those things and that they still apply to the phone. The phone is still part of us. We are one. I think my last little advice I would give, which has been on repetition with myself these past 2 weeks, is it's just better to call and get it over with. The longer you wait, the grosser it will seem. And they are never as bad when you get on the phone. Most times, 99.9% of the time, it's good. There are some work calls that still haunt me to this day, but I wasn't alone on them because I knew it would go down that way. And so I would bring other people with me so that we could all kind of burn together and make a plan, and it was just better. The sooner you do it, the better. It's kind of like after my crash. The first thing I made sure I did was I got a rental car and I drove, because the longer I waited, the more scared I would be, which is still fluctuating. But, it's the longer you put something off, the more you can go through what ifs, versus if you just see the phone number, you need to make a dentist appointment, the date, Just hit the button. Don't overthink the conversation. You have definitely had this conversation before. You've talked to other people about it. Just do it. You will feel the same level of stress in that moment, no matter what. I guarantee. You can have your script pulled up, but don't just sit and hover. Now, I did have an anxiety attack leading up to one phone call, which was cute. The phone call itself wasn't going to be bad. I think that was just me having a breakdown. A very well-deserved one, might I add. One of my top performances. Thank you. But, I realized I had to get that out of the way. And sometimes it's okay to lean into that and get it out of your system and then be like, okay, that's done. Let's just get this call over with. And then it's done usually in less than 10 minutes. And then it's I've done what I could. So I hope that you feel a little more confident dealing with your calls. It's okay if that's never something you're super comfortable with. Practice does make it better, but it's also understandable that you might not have that opportunity. I got over a lot of this stuff when I worked a front desk job right out of college. I had to call 30 people a day. So extreme exposure therapy. That was rough, but here I am. Look at what I became. So I just, from one super, super anxious person who's now been able to work with it, I really send you all the good vibes. I think you can do it. If you listen to this whole episode and you were putting off a phone call, I would like to give you the space right now to open your phone, go find the number you need to call. I'm going to give you a couple seconds to think about what was the question or what you need to do. Okay? Feel free to write it down on a sticky note or something, and then just go ahead and click the number and let it go. Let it happen and imagine that it's already done and how much better you feel. Enjoy your phone call. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Angus IT. I'm sorry about my upload schedule, guys. I swear life is just getting in the way and I'm kind of doing my best here, but my best isn't great. So I'm really hoping I can, have an episode for you next week, but, at maximum or minimum, minimally, I will ensure that we at least have an episode bi-weekly for now. It's mostly just my energy levels and what I have to give. But I really appreciate all your support and for you listening. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Angus IT. That's Angus like the cow, I like the body part, and T like the drink. I've got a website, www.angusit.com, and you can also message me. My DMs are always open. I also have an email address, angusit@gmail.com. I hope that your phone call is so easy that you actually make a BFF, or it's the beginning of your rom-com. You have a phone call, and suddenly it's wow, who are you, Jared? I'm so confused. And then you're in a coffee shop and you hear someone say oh yeah, over here. And you're I know that voice. And it's Jared. And you both lock eyes. And even though you've never seen each other's faces, you can tell there's something about you and them. I don't know, maybe something like that. That'd be cool. Or you can find $1 in your pants after you wash them. Isn't that fun to find money that way? I don't know. I'm trying so hard. And with that, I will talk to you next Wednesday. Bye, Heifers.